Hello everyone, this is me, Dusty Circuit here, and this isn't gonna be another just mini series, like kind of like the videos about all my computers I've owned that I made. I think it was a few months back or maybe a year back, but this one's been on my mind for a few months, and this time I'm gonna sort of talk about kind of just a history of the games that I've actually played throughout my life. And actually, believe it or not, I actually was born 10 years before Minecraft actually existed. And actually, I believe just almost exactly 10 years before Minecraft existed, though I think actually 11, but really, so that means that Minecraft can't be the only game that I actually played in my life. I would have had have to have some games come before it, and that is the case, though. But before we get into this, I just kind of want to paint a picture about my early life or childhood was like. Well, I guess I talked a little bit about it at least in the first couple videos of my computers series, but basically I just have one sibling, and I am with my mom and my dad. And really, my dad's income, uh, kind of is what fed my family, and we really, we had enough to live on, but not necessarily enough. Like we didn't have much in the way of disposable income, and we kind of largely had to live on what we had or what little things we could buy when we could. And then another thing is my mom was very concerned about like us playing certain games that are that are violent, or at least of the shooting variety. And anyway, the actually the first video game, at least that I remember playing, oddly enough was a PC game. Ironically enough, though this was though it was not it's probably not a game a lot of people know about or remember, but if anyone who's had a Windows 98 PC or Windows PC, or running Windows 98, might remember this game, or if they didn't really have much in the way of games that they installed on their computer, they might remember this. But I brought this up in the first video of the other series, but it was the game Hover. Or was that game where you play as a hovercraft collecting flags against a couple AI opponents. And I didn't play that for very long, but it was, at least the first computer game. I don't know if you call it a video game, but a computer game that at least I remember playing. Though most of the games I played, at least in my childhood years, were not PC games. They were they were console games, or more specifically, Nintendo console games. And at least the two platforms, or at least the two Nintendo platforms, at least that I remember playing the most games on, were the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube. Though for me specifically, it was the Game Boy Advance SP. Though it's the same as though really the Game Boy Advance and the SP were the same system. Only the SP was like a kind of a redesign of it, like with the screen that flips up, kind of like, I guess sort of like the predecessor. I guess you could sort of see it like the predecessor to the DS in a way, but it was not the same. It was not quite the same thing. But anyway, what I remember about so really what kind of influenced me to really to get into video games in the first place was actually my sister, because she was at least she was into video games before I was, even before I was born. And at least, and sometimes I would be able to spend time with her in her room and watch her play her video games. But though for me at the time, I was like maybe like a toddler to kind of just a kid, like kind of like maybe like from 4 to like 7 like years old, or at least all the time that I would consider my childhood years. My sister was a teenager, and I mean, I guess we got along all right for the most part, but there were times where my sister, let's just say, didn't really put up with me with my autism very well. Let's just put it at that. And but for the most part, we got along, and from time to time, from time to time, she let me watch me play what video games she enjoyed, or what she had at the time. And from my understanding, she had a collection of a large collection of both Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. And at least fairly recently, she got a GameCube, and she was getting games for that. And the first of those two games, of those two consoles, I guess we could call them, that I acquired was the Game Boy Advance SP. I think I remember. Actually, I really wanted to get my own because of course, my sister wasn't always. Of course, me borrowing my sister's ga- Game Boy Advance wouldn't always go very well, but with just kind of the way our personalities were at the time. So I really the best thing for me was just for me to acquire my own, so I could just have my own games and my own console that I could play whenever I wanted. And I forget what year it was, but for one of my birthdays, my mom was able to get me a blue Game Boy Advance SP. I think I specifically wanted a blue one because I think blue is my favorite color. It still is today. But I didn't personally own a huge collection of games for it, but I think at certain points I was able to borrow some games from my sister, though, so at least the amount of games that I played was actually a bit larger than the games that I actually owned, but the ones, at least I only personally remember actually owning maybe, I think, four or maybe five. Uh, maybe four or maybe five Game Boy Advance games. So if my memory is serving me right, but it might just be four. But so so the first game, at least that I personally remember getting, was I think this was the one and only game that was actually purchased brand new, and I think I actually got it basically around the same time I got the Game Boy Advance, and and uh, and this was I believe it was Pokemon Fire Red, I believe. And and I think as a kid, I think I would have recalled my sister very much being into Pokemon as a whole, and my sister had many Pokemon games and that she played, and and I think uh I forget if my sister wanted me to get into it, or if I wanted to get into it because my sister was into it. But at least this was the first game that I really remember getting for my Game Boy and playing a lot. And I remember putting a lot of time into playing it, but I also remember getting to a point where I guess the game just got a bit too grindy for me, like with having to level up your Pokemon, and also I'm like to the point where at least you can progress by beating the next like Pokemon trainers and like just kind of progressing through the game. And though I remember at least at one point actually beating the game all the way through, though I believe it was with some help from my sister. And I think I actually remember playing that at least for a good while after, at least for a little while longer after I'd beaten it once. But uh, but at one point I just kind of moved on to other things, and I just got to a point where I guess I just lost interest in it and just kind of moved on to other things. But I did have a lot of other games that I played that I actually at least I acquired for my Game Boy Advance. And I believe another one was I don't think I even know the name of it offhand, but it was this kind of like car racing game. I believe it was Corvette something, though if I'm though I could probably edit in the actual name of the game in post, but it was this kind of like racing game, kind of I guess themed around we themed around Corvette cars, and I think it was basically I think it was split up into, I think it was either 6 or 8 different levels, I guess you could call it, and each level had uh like 3 different like races you can do, and really the object of the game was just to get through each one and just kind of get to the end. And my sister actually had Mario Kart, or at least the Mario Kart game for the Game Boy for the GBA, and I believe at one point I borrowed that and played a little bit of that, but I but that game technically belonged to my sister, and so it wasn't mine. It wasn't always mine to play, but I did have that game, and I mean, at least it was something for me to play. And then I think that then another one I got that I played. I forget exactly the backstory behind how I got this one. I think it might have been something to do with some kind of a catalog, or like, or I forget the backstory, but it was actually based on it was actually based on a TV show, a cartoon that I actually watched a lot in my childhood, that being SpongeBob SquarePants. And don't think I remember the exact what exactly it was called, but I can edit it in post. But it was a SpongeBob themed game, and I actually do remember at least playing it for a decent amount, and I think I actually have beaten it a few times, actually. Though it wasn't that hard of a game, but it was at least fun for me at the time. So, this next one, there was this other one, don't think I can remember I don't know how it's said. I think it's Iridian 3D or something along those lines. It was this kind of arcade style shooting, like shooting game where you're this you're it's like you play as like this spaceship where that's like shooting like these various enemies that you're going through, these different, you have a bunch of different levels, and the object is to get through them without dying, and like and then each level has a boss. And I forget exactly how many levels there are in that, but I remember just from the whole, just because of the whole nature that there's no like saving system in that game, and though it did have those though it did have a password system, at least that a lot of older games had, that like before the technology was available for games, for video games to save. It's like if you get through this certain level, if you get through X amount of levels and get X amount of upgrades or whatever, you can. The game will give you this password, and if and then in order to get your progress back, you would have had to write that password down on a piece of paper or in a notebook or something, and then you'd have to enter that in, and then that would, if you remember that password correctly, you get your progress back. Though me as a kid, I never had the foresight to do that, and I just basically got through as much of the game as I could. And I think the best I ever did was, I think the farthest I ever gotten that was, I think, level 4. Though I think that game had maybe 7 or 8 levels. Though actually I think about a year ago, I did actually download, I actually did play that game on a Game Boy Advance emulator on my computer, and I did manage to get through that game, but only with the help of the but only because I had the ability to do save states, where I could literally just save at any point in the game, and if I die or whatever, I can just always go back to that save state. So, though the physical game that I had with my Game Boy, I don't remember actually playing that much, but though this next game that I will talk about, I actually do remember putting a lot of time into, and if I were to actually pick a favorite of all the games that I've actually, that at least of the games that I owned, that were actually mine, I'd say this one has to be my favorite. This game is, A Frogger's Journey, The Forgotten Relic. And this game, actually, I think one day my mom actually was, I think my mom was actually at a thrift store. Like, well, that's where we see, from time to time, my mom likes to go to thrift stores to see what things she could find what used things she can find for a good price. And I guess my mom knows like my mom, I guess, knew I at least had a Game Boy, and that's what I like to that's what I like to play, and I guess she found that, and I guess one day she just handed it to me, and of course my mom doesn't even know what it is. My mom is my mom never grew up with video games, so she doesn't really I mean, she knows they exist, but she doesn't really know like what they're really like or what they're about. But my mom found I guess my mom found something that I might like, and she gave it to me, and of course I started playing it, and I think within probably the first hour or two of playing it, I was hooked on it. And basically what this was about is what this game was about is it's I guess I would describe it as sort of like a mix of RPG and Metroidvania, or like I don't know if anyone would compare it to Metroidvania, but it's kind of like it's like kind of like it in the same sense that you're exploring and you're gaining upgrades, and that unlock your ability to explore more places, and like just kind of gain access to more areas that you didn't before. And well, the RPG element of this is you're talking to different NPCs in the game. Well, I guess you can't really call them NPCs because you do interact with them, but it's like you talk to these different characters. And it's just I guess it's just both the story of the game and just the whole aspect of the game. It's just something about that. It's very addicting to me, and it makes me want to keep keep playing it until the end. And and as a and playing this on my Game Boy, I believe I almost got to the end, but it's the very final boss. I just couldn't I guess it was just too fast paced for me at the time, and I just couldn't quite beat it. But I actually downloaded the ROM for this game, so I could actually, if I really wanted to, I could play it on my my emulator now. And one day I actually did do exactly that, and I was able to beat the game. And it's definitely I mean it's not really a game that like a lot of people really made videos about on YouTube, and it's not very it doesn't seem like it's a very that common of a game that people really make videos about, though I found at least I found some videos. And maybe for that reason it's kind of made me consider possibly at some point maybe doing a let's play of that game. Though Uh, I don't know if I'll promise that, but it's something at least I'm looking forward to, perhaps maybe at some point in the future. Though beyond my small collection of games that I did own, uh, I believe the games that at least that belonged to my sister that I was able to borrow were I think I played some of Mario Kart. I think it was called the game for the Mario Kart for Game Boy Advance. I think it was called Super Circuit. I think it was called, and I think I played a little bit of that. And I think, and then I think another one I played. Although I think my sister might have lent this to me. I believe it was Spyro 2: Season of Flame, and of course I enjoyed that one basically the same amount as Frogger's Journey. Is because is it kind of is the same. Well, it's not quite the same kind of a thing, but it's also an exploration kind of a game. And I mean, but it's just for me at the time, like it's just because I was having to contend with my mom's rules about like I can't play like violent games. Like I was just having to just find like just whatever games like outside of that like that like were interesting to me, and those I guess those were the games that I at least was that at least piqued my interest. And really beyond that, I think I played so Mario Kart and Spyro Season of Flame. I played and and apart from those games, I think I actually at one point I think even one time I even went like I think there was even this one time I went through some of my sister's game collection, and I think I actually ended up playing some of the some of her Pokemon games. So I don't I didn't really play them that much. I think maybe I think one of them I ended up borrowing for a bit and playing, but I don't recall really getting through it very much though. And though though the Game Boy Advance, I believe that and the GameCube, which I'm actually going to talk about in another video in the next video that I make of this mini series. I guess it'll be uh like those were really the two gaming platforms, at least outside of PC anyway, that I actually remember really having the most time into, or at least time playing. And that was certainly a different time in my life. Like I remember like there were like countless times like I would just be in my bedroom like just sitting on my bed and like with like my Game Boy with my Game Boy SP in like sitting on my bed like looking into like I think it was maybe like a 3 or 4 inch screen on that thing like where we just playing playing these games. And it was definitely a different experience, at least from at least from what I have today. And I definitely had a lot of fun on that platform. And definitely had some fun times there. Actually, I do have one more thing to talk about, and it's actually two more games, and these are not games I actually ever owned physically. Like I never owned the physical cartridges, but these are games that actually like my sister actually found. So she learned, oh, you can download a Game Boy Advance emulator and you can download and play really any game you want. And when my sister was getting into the Metroid franchise, and I believe it was Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission, which were games that she actually tried playing. And she actually didn't get all that far in them because she isn't really that great at platformer games. But at least when I actually, well, at least when it was my turn to actually get into that and play those games, I actually seemed to do pretty well with them. Though at one point or another, I believe I did have to consult a walkthrough, but for the most part, I believe I was able to actually complete those two games without too much difficulty anyway. And though just thought I'd kind of also throw this in there because it does fall under the Game Boy category, even though I didn't technically play these games on my Game Boy. And I guess me in post will, and editing will edit in some pictures of what these games actually looked like, or maybe even some video clips, and in this video, and just to kind of show you at least a glimpse of actually what these games were like. Actually, I'm only about 30 minutes, 35 minutes into my recording, but I'd like to I'm thinking of ending it here just because I don't really have that much else to talk about, so I've definitely, although I've kind of gone, at least I've gone over, at least most of the games I actually played on the Game Boy at least, and I guess the next video will be about the GameCube, and yeah. So thank you all for watching. If you, I hope you. So thank you all for watching. And if you liked what you saw, remember to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next my next installment of this series. So it isn't gonna be that much of a series. I think I could maybe only see myself making maybe 3 more videos, but it's still something I think is worth make kind of at least taking a trip to kind of reminiscing about with my viewers, and kind of anyway. And so anyway, thank you all for watching. This has been me, Dusty Circuit here, and if you liked what you saw, remember to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you want to see if you want to see my next content, be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Peace out.